Hello and welcome to part 2 of the April 14th, 2024 edition of the Bobby Hesley Show. Hope you guys are having a blessed Christian Sabbath and really nice out here today in Michigan. I actually should be outside doing this as a walk and talk, but it'd be kind of hard to do because there's a lot of material to go through. But I just figure I had some rare downtime to just do some streaming. I guess, you know, every time I do streaming, I take these hiatuses to focus on my business because, like I said, it's hard to do two things well at once, right? And but whenever I get back to streaming, I forget how much I love doing it, you know? So I figured, you know what? Let me just crank out some content on the heels of this debate that I had with my friend Mr. Dominic Caggeso. He's a Sedevacantist author who I debated yesterday. And I'm just kind of giving some afterthoughts on the debate because obviously during a debate, you don't have time to flesh out everything the way you want to. So the first half, I talked about kind of a private conversation I had with Dominic and my friends Chad, Christina, and Mark. Kind of went through that. And again, you know, that's not something I want to beat a dead horse on. I want to start moving on to some other parts of the debate where I can give some post commentary. So let me actually just get right back into it. And for those of you that want to, you know, kind of have context to what I'm saying, if you haven't seen part 1, it would be pretty hard for you to kind of understand what I'm talking about now. I mean, you could still kind of get it, but you'll have a little bit more of a backdrop if you go through part 1. So let me share my screen and let me just get right back to kind of where I left off. Let's keep giving commentary here.
He went on to praise Sedevacantist for their consistency of belief. Okay, so I appreciate that. But what a tone difference between now and then. And so I asked myself, like, what is so threatening about Sedevacantism? It's not threatening by you're not threatened by the Protestants this way. I don't hear Novus Ordo apologists talk to Protestants in this way. I don't hear them talk.
And honestly, Dominic, I'm not threatened by Sedevacantists either. You might feel like I am, but I'm not. To be honest with you, how can we do I'm just looking at some different viewing options. Yeah, I guess we'll keep it like this.
Talk about Protestants.
But yeah, I'm not threatened by Protestants or Sedis or Schismatics or Orthodox. I'm just passionate about whoever I'm talking about. And if I feel like somebody's in error, I don't mince words or energy. That's all.
This way, or Schismatics or Muslims or anybody else. But for Sedevacantists, then they use our love of Catholic teaching and Catholic tradition to try to use it against us. They know that we're concerned about schism. They're not concerned about schism. We are. So they try to use that against us, right? It's a trick. This kind of talking is self-revealing of like the animosity they have for Sedevacantists. Why is that? What?
Like I said, Dominic, that goes both ways, man. Sedevacantists they have the most animosity of lots of people I've dealt with in that wing of the church. They really are, even more than SSPX. Like in the trad wing of Catholicism, you guys own the animosity. But I will say, Dominic, I don't think that applies to you though. You are the nicest Sedevacantists I've dealt with. You really are, and I appreciate that about you. You're a man of good faith and good virtue and good character. So I appreciate that about you, which I told you from day one. You know.
Why is that? It's because their whole Novus Ordo religion comes crumbling down if Vatican II and the Novus Ordo popes aren't real, right?
And you know what, Dominic? Your whole Sedevacantism religion comes crumbling down if the Vatican II popes and the Novus Ordo Mass is real, and both of them are. And in my opinion, I kind of feel like your religion came crumbling down at the 42-minute mark, which I'm going to get into because, I mean, you said some things about the Sedevacantist position. Yeah, I agree, Jim. He is definitely a nice guy for a Sedevacantist, like for sure. And Dominic, again, I want to give you some flowers here publicly, brother. You are actually the first and only Sedevacantist I've met who doesn't believe that people of the Novus Ordo Church are heretics. There's a lot of things you were saying during my cross-examination of you that kind of made me almost feel bad for you and even fear for you in a slight way, because I felt like some of the things you said kind of could have painted a target on your back from your fellow Sedis, because Sedevacantists are a very cannibalistic people. They really are. They go after each other very, very hard if they don't feel that they match the standards of perfection and purity that a Sedevacantist should hold to. So, and I'm going to get into that. Like I said, that's why I'm doing these review videos, because I want to flesh that out. But I would argue the contrary, Dominic. Your religion comes crumbling down if the popes of Vatican II are real. and they are, and I'm going to prove some other ways that you kind of brought your religion crashing down during the cross-examination.
If this whole thing's a sham, their lifestyle's in danger, maybe their welfare's in danger. They got to change a lot of things because they claim to love the church. Okay.
When you say their lifestyle and welfare are in danger, could that also apply to you if your position is wrong? Because I do this as a hobby. Like, I really do. This is kind of my work-life balance. This is kind of what kind of gives me the balance I like, just promoting and defending the Catholic faith. I'm not selling books. I'm not selling courses. My YouTube channel is not even monetized. I'm not doing this for money, but you are. I mean, you're plugging your book, you're selling a book, which, hey, I respect, right? You should reap the fruits of your labor. And, based on this free book you gave me, which I appreciate you doing, you put a lot of work and effort into this book, Dominic. The aesthetics of it are very nice. The map you put together here, this historical map, is pretty cool looking. I do believe it contains lots of errors, which I'll talk about in the future. But, what if your Sedevacantist position is wrong and you realize that everything you wrote in this book has to be burned and recanted? Like, that is possible. So I think what you're saying here about how somebody's lifestyle or welfare could be at stake if they're wrong, I think that applies much more to you than me. I mean, if you look at the screen here, you got your Maccabean Uprising website. You're trying to plug your brand. You're trying to sell your book. So I think that probably applies more to you than me, because I don't have a financial dog in this fight. And I'm not saying you do either. Like, I'm not saying money is the only reason you're doing this, but it's got to be part of it, right? I mean, you did give me a free book, which I appreciate, but I don't think you're giving away all your books for free. I don't think that'd be a very good business. So let's keep going. I just thought I'd comment on that.
Okay? But then they attack Sedevacantists for being schismatic, but they don't even believe we're going to hell for it. Like, if this is not trying to save our souls.
Well, it is trying to save your souls, because I believe your soul's in danger. I'm not going to make that leap, Dominic, and say that you're going to hell, but I do believe your soul's in danger, because I believe you're cut off from the true church. But again, I leave that nuance because I don't know if those other two conditions of a mortal sin are present. I know it's grave matter, but I don't know if you've had sufficient reflection. I don't know if you're giving full consent to the will from what I feel you're committing with schism. I don't know that, Dominic. I'm not going to presume that I know. Only God knows that. So that's why you kind of put me in between a rock and a hard place when you keep trying to pin me down and ask me if I believe Sedevacantists are going to hell. I believe their souls are in danger, and I believe they're making it much harder for themselves and their children to get to heaven, especially the home aloner Sedevacantists that can't even have daily access to the sacraments. So that's my position on that. I can't fit a square peg into a round hole on that. I feel like you're trying to maybe pigeon me. I feel like you want a sentence of eternal condemnation to come out of my mouth. Like, I hereby sentence thee as a Sedevacantist to burn in hell forever. Like, you're never going to hear that from me, Dominic, ever, because I don't have the sovereignty to do that. What did St. Paul say in one of his epistles? He said, I judge not even myself, right? And according to Vatican I, it says the See of Peter is not to be judged either. But that's a whole nother conversation. So let's keep going.
Then what are we doing here? If you don't believe we're going to hell for being Sedevacantist, then I don't understand the point of all this, right?
Yeah.
And I guess the question I should ask you later on is, do you believe Sedevacantist are going to hell because they're in schism, not because they're in mortal sin?
Well, you asked me that on our call, and I kind of played that, and I gave you the answer. So you can go back and watch that if you want in my part 1.
Or they don't have access to the sacraments, but because of schism specifically. And if you believe that we're going to hell for schism specifically, then you have to apply that across the board. And
see, you're putting words in my mouth, and you're wanting me to condemn not only Sedis to hell, but you're wanting me to condemn Protestants and Orthodox and atheists and people that are in non-Christian religions. I feel like you might be projecting, Dominic, because that's what Sadies do. You guys are the ones that like to pronounce the sentences of hellfire and judgment and brimstone, not me. Matter of fact, that's one of your critiques of us. You feel like we're too soft and we're too namby-pamby, kumbaya. Let's hold hands and act like everything is okay, right? That's one of your guys' critiques of us.
Therefore, question why your popes, right, the ones you say are popes, are allowing schismatics to run amok. All right, Francis has been quoted saying many times, you should not try to convert the Orthodox or the Eastern schismatics. Don't try to convert them. That's a sin against ecumenism, whatever that means.
Okay, now you're bearing false witness. Even though you don't believe that Pope Francis is a real pope, it's still kind of bearing false witness against him to say things, to ascribe things to Pope Francis that he never said. So let me slay this common SETI dragon that lots of Sedevacantists like to put out against Pope Francis. So what you're referencing is it's an actual document. Matter of fact, me and the screen share. Hold on. It's an actual document because oftentimes Sedevacantists think that Francis thinks that, all religions are equal, right? Which obviously, is not the case, but this is actually a document. It's on christianunity.va. It's from the official Vatican website. The name of the document is called "The Gifts and the Calling of God Are Irrevocable." Now, a lot of people took scandal to that title, but they don't realize that they're actually quoting St. Paul. Like, there were lots of ultra righties that came out years ago when this first came out. And because they like to look at the clickbait and they have these knee-jerk reactions to things, and they have, like I said, that hermeneutic of suspicion that everybody's guilty of heresy, that when they saw this title, the gifts and calling of God are irrevocable, which is what you're seeing right here, they assumed that was like a Vatican II Novus Ordo made-up title, but it's actually quotations of Romans 11:29. So, if this is teaching heresy, then you got to say that St. Paul was teaching heresy when he said this under the Holy Spirit's inspiration, which would mean the Holy Spirit's teaching heresy, because Scripture are the words of the Holy Spirit written on paper through human instruments, right? So we know that's not the case. But let me slay the Sedevacantist straw man real quick about this notion of Francis saying that it's a sin to proselytize. So you can see the document here. I'll kind of blow it up to make sure you guys can see it well. This is paragraph number 6, the church's mandate to evangelize in relation to Judaism. Now, here's what it says. It says, it is easy to understand that the so-called, quote, mission to the Jews is a very delicate and sensitive matter for Jews because, in their eyes, it involves the very existence of the Jewish people. This question also proves to be awkward for Christians because for them, the universal salvific significance of Jesus Christ and consequently the universal mission of the church are of fundamental importance. The church is therefore obliged to view evangelization to Jews who believe in the one God in a different manner from that to other people, to people of other religions and worldviews. In concrete terms, this means that the Catholic Church neither conducts nor supports any specific institutional mission work directed towards Jews. While there is a principled rejection of an institutional Jewish mission, Christians are nonetheless called to bear witness to their belief in Jesus Christ also to Jews, although they should do so in a humble and sensitive manner, acknowledging that Jews are bearers of God's word, and particularly in view of the great tragedy of the Shoah, which is the Holocaust, the Hitler Holocaust. So, the fact is on this, let me just go back on full screen for a second. So to kind of put this in context, you can't put the Jewish religion in the same religions as all the other non-Christian religions. You can't put it in that same category. Now, on the surface of that sounds like typical Novus Ordo religious indifferentism to the Sedevacantist ear. Cassettis don't like to listen to people and look into context and give nuance to things. The fact is, half of our Bible, more than half of our Bible, okay, is based on the Jewish Old Testament. We still read it. It's still part of the heart of our liturgy is reading the Old Testament at Mass, whether it's a Novus Ordo or a Tridentine Mass. Okay, God bless you too, Tom. It's always great to hear from you, brother. And I appreciate that, man. Definitely. We read the Old Testament at Mass. We read the Psalms at Mass, whether it's Latin or Novus Ordo, that's part of it. The liturgy of the Word and the liturgy of the Eucharist, right? Part of the liturgy of the Word is reading from the Old Testament. So you can't just write off the Jewish religion as just this meaningless, obsolete, heretical, all these things that SETIs love to say about the Jewish religion. They're part of our heritage. In fact, in Vatican II, it refers to them as our elder brethren. They are the people from which the Messiah came. You can't dismiss that. But the fact is, our Old Testament is not based on the writings of Buddha. It's not based on Hindu writings. It's not based on the writings of Confucius or all of these other Eastern religions or all these other non-Christian religions or even of the Islamic religion. Okay? So they're in a different category to us than the Jews because the Jews are kind of part of us. They kind of are. There's lots of parallels between the Jewish faith and the Catholic faith. In fact, I feel like the most Jewish thing somebody can do is become Catholic. So the reason why the church takes this approach to the Jewish people that's different from the approach that they take to other religions is because they have, I hate to say it this way, but it's almost like there's more hope for the Jewish people than there are of other religions, because they are the people that God chose to become man through, right? Jesus had a Jewish mother. He had a Jewish foster father. That was the race of people that he chose to come through. And he was born a Jew. He lived as a Jew. He died a Jew. He rose from the dead as a Jewish person, and he ascended into heaven. He took his Jewish physical body into heaven with him, and it's still there because of the ascension. So this is why the church has a different approach to our Jewish brothers and sisters than they do to other Catholics. And to say that they're proselytizing, I'll read kind of something that'll set that in context. So there's an explanation that was written. There was a document that was written. It was called Instruction on Some Aspects of Evangelization. Okay. And according to that document, it distinguishes between proselytism and evangelizing. And here's what it says. It says the term proselytization originated in the context of Judaism, in which the term, quote, proselyte referred to someone who, coming from the Gentiles, had passed into the chosen people. So too, in the Christian context, the term proselytism was often used as a synonym for missionary activity, okay, like going out and making converts, right? But the document continues. It says, more recently, however, and this is the key point of this document you got to see. More recently, however, the term has taken on a negative connotation to mean the promotion of religion by using means and for motives contrary to the spirit of the gospel, that is, which do not safeguard the freedom and dignity of the human person. So what Pope Francis was saying in context is that we don't convert by force. That's nothing new. I don't know why that's so surprising to Sedevacantist. Christianity has never been a religion of the sword, like Islam has been, for example. It's never been a religion of conquest and a religion of forced conversion. It never has. It's always been a religion that has spread through the gentle preaching of missionaries that set up orphanages and hospitals and schools and churches and missions and parishes, that do miracles, that feed the poor, that do all this, all the corporal works of mercy. We have always evangelized that way. So I wanted to kind of put that to rest, and let's keep going here. So I'm not going to play the whole debate, but I am going to I'm going to kind of fast forward to a couple key points that kind of jumped out at me. For example, let me make sure my screen is showing. Okay. Hold on, guys. Okay, let's keep going.
Sedevacantist, unless it's a straw man debate, someone they can knock down really easy. They're absent. They don't say their name. And that's very telling. I yield the rest of my seconds. Thank you very much.
Okay, Bobby, back to you.
Okay, let me start all right, let me skip forward to, let's see, the 3638 mark real quick.
Vatican II happens, and we're to think condemns in 900 times. My first question is, where talks about the threats against the papacy? So they're all throughout.
Yeah. Okay. So
no problem.
So Dominic was talking about the constant threat of masonry against the church
in light of the fact that Pope St. Pius X was warning us in his encyclicals that the modernists are infiltrating the church and they want to take over the church from the inside. You have all this in context, right? And then Vatican II happens, and we're to think nothing's wrong, no problems there. And oh, by the way, the condemnations of Freemasonry are token condemnations at best. But there are no condemnations in substance. There's no screaming from the rooftops like the popes have done all throughout the 1800s. They scream from the rooftops about the threats against the papacy. So they're all gone. So I would ask Bobby, my first question is, where did the war against the papacy go after Vatican II? And I'd be interested if you say that Sedevacantists are the ones who are maintaining the war, but I'll let you answer.
Well, one, I would say you guys are maintaining the war, but there's not enough of you for it to really make much of a noticeable impact. Although you guys are growing at a worrisome rate. But let me put that in context for you. So you're talking about where the papal condemnations for Freemasonry and why did it all of a sudden stop at Vatican II? Dominic, there's been plenty of condemnations of Freemasonry. I counted 8. Okay. In Eminenti, Apostolis Specula, Clement XII in the year 1738. This is the first papal condemnation of Freemasonry, warning Catholics. I want to make sure you guys can see this. Warning Catholics that membership in Masonic associations is strictly forbidden under pain of excommunication. Okay. Then a few years later, Pope Benedict XIV, year 1751, this document reaffirms and expands upon the condemnation of Freemasonry, emphasizing the secrecy of Masonic gatherings is incompatible with Catholic faith. And you can just see on and on, Pope after Pope, year after year, century after century, condemning Freemasonry. And here's kind of how the church works, Dominic. And I would think you would know this as kind of a church historian, because you style yourself as a church historian. That's what your whole book is based on, about how salvation history was, the history of the church was prefigured in the Old Testament. That's what your book's all about. Well, if you look throughout church history, Dominic, you'll find that the church would issue condemnations about heresies and movements for as long as it felt like it was necessary to do it. But there comes a point where the church has exhausted her teaching and her condemnations on a particular issue because it's built up enough of a library, it's built up enough of an archive or a database, we can call it, of things on that topic. So let me give you an example. How come we never hear the church condemning the heresy of Arianism anymore? How come you don't hear popes issue encyclicals against Arianism? I mean, Arianism is still alive and well today. It really is. On a Catholic morning, which one of us hasn't been interrupted by a Jehovah's Witness who doesn't believe in the Trinity or who doesn't believe that Jesus is God, right? Heresy is still, there's millions of Jehovah's Witnesses worldwide. The core of the Jehovah's Witness false religion is Arianism, denial of the divinity of Christ, right? Yet I don't see papal condemnations of Arianism. Why? Because we have plenty of them with the documents of Nicaea and all the church fathers. And there's so many other examples I can use of things that the church heavily condemned in the past that has condemned it enough to where we have enough of a reference point. We have enough heritage now on that topic to where the church can move on to other things that are more pressing, that need attention, that need condemnation, that need, infallible pronouncements against and things like that. So that's what that's how I would rebut that, what you said there. And again, these are things I wouldn't have had time to say during the debate because you only have so much time. You can't cover it all. The next point I want to get to is, yes, I do believe that you Sedevacantists are waging war on the papacy. I believe that there can simultaneously be this war against the papacy that you talk about. Right,
self-governed. They've stopped and are not asserting their power and control over the Vatican.
You stay on your little show with The View.
The argument that you just made is an old one, and it's just a matter of welcoming them, and then asking them to convert, preaching the gospel to them, asking them to sin no more. But that's not happening. And also, I would love Bishop Sanborn to be welcome to the Vatican. That would be fantastic. But
I don't think you could pay Bishop Sanborn to go to the Vatican. What would he say? Here's what I don't understand, Dominic. That sentence didn't kind of make sense to me. If you believe that the Vatican II church is the false church, why does the Vatican even matter? Why doesn't having an audience with the Vatican even matter? Like, what would happen at a meeting like that? If you guys are the small faithful remnant, you guys like to say we have the faith, but they have the churches. That's an abused, promiscuously used term of St. Athanasius. And you're quoting that from somebody when you say we have the faith, but they have the churches. Well, Athanasius said that in union with the Bishop of Rome. I mean, you guys are not in union with the Bishop of Rome. You don't even believe we have a Bishop of Rome. So for you guys to say we have the faith, but they have the churches, as in we're the usurpers, which again, remember, Pius IX condemned as one of his errors, and it was error number 23 in the syllabus of errors, people who call the Roman pontiff and his bishops usurpers. He condemned that very clearly. You guys want to go back and watch that debate. So why would your Sedevacantist Bishop Donald Sanborn want to meet with usurpers? Right? I mean, in the early Christian church, they did usurp a lot from us. We were in the catacombs. We were driven underground. We weren't trying to meet with Romans and get possession of their palaces and their courts. I mean, those things kind of ended up defaulting to us after the Roman Empire collapsed. But this idea of Sanborn meeting with the Vatican, I don't understand why you would desire something like that, because I don't even think Sanborn would desire something like that. So Let's
but
keep
the
going.
Sedevacantists get completely ignored. That's the thing, right? So we're giving powerful people who have powerful agendas, even
Getting completely ignored by who? Like, who do you want to be paying attention to you that you don't feel is? Is it the false anti-church? That would be like, what's an analogy I could think of? That would be like, I don't know, a vegan critiquing a butcher shop, right? Vegans do not believe in eating meat. So wouldn't it be weird for a vegan to spend all their time trying to have meetings with people at butcher shops and trying to tell them how they should run their butcher shops when they don't even believe in eating meat? Or what about an archivist preserving burned books, right? There's this library full of these burned books, and this guy just dedicates himself to preserving burned books. Like, if the books are useless, meaning like pretty much everything, after 1958, why do you guys spend so much time and attention on it? I don't understand that. So I don't quite know what you meant by that, but it didn't make a ton of sense.
evil agendas are giving space to have photo walks.
All right, let's get to the part where I feel like things really started to unravel.
That's fantastic. Read the last verse in that, and you'll see that the peg falls at the end of the chapter. Time to answer, only have a minute left. But what is the point of the papacy for you?
The point of the papacy is so that, I believe, well, if we want to break down the etymology, papacy, I believe another promise. I'm skipping ahead because you kind of nitpicked one of my types, Dominic. Let me get to that. In their theology, believe Jesus broke, is that I shall not leave you orphan. What is an orphan? An orphan is someone without a papa, without a papacy, without a papacy. So I believe first and foremost that the papacy, according to the typological definition of Isaiah chapter 22, verses 22 through 29, is that he is a father that shall rule over the house of Israel. He will be a sure peg. What he shuts, no man can open. What he opens, no man can shut.
Right. Very good.
So that's what I believe the papacy is, binding and loosing power as the successor of Peter.
That's fantastic. Read the last verse in that, and you'll see that the peg falls at the end of the chapter.
Well, every type in the Old Testament is deficient of that which it foreshadows, right? So David was a type of Jesus. Adam was a type of Jesus, but they're not superior to Jesus. So it's always going to fall short with analogy.
It says the peg will be removed.
Well, and you're proving way too much here, Dominic. Here's what I think is happening, Dominic. I think you're getting too caught up in your fantasy of this book. Because the impression I get of this book you wrote, and I could be wrong, I'm just speculating, but I get the impression that you're kind of like in love with your own intellect on this idea of the Old Testament prefiguring the life of the church. And I think you've been inside of your Sedevacantist bubble, your Sedevacantist echo chamber that doesn't challenge your thinking, because everything you say resonates with your fellow Sedis, because obviously it's such a tough existence to live, not having a pope and not having regular access to sacraments, which you guys are lucky to have over there at St. Gertrude. But, most Sedis have to have coping mechanisms because it is a very Herculean task. It is a very depressing and nihilistic existence to live in the past and feel like there's no future, because you don't even believe we're going to have another pope anymore. You believe we're in a permanent interregnum, which I will get to. But I feel like you haven't had anybody really challenge your ideas in these books, which I will be doing. And you're trying to prove too much. Listen to yourself, Dominic. Listen to this. Listen to what you're trying to prove. Let me go back a little bit. Jesus. So it's always going to fall short with analogy.
It says the peg will be removed.
Well, and again, that is the Old Testament that did not have the fullness of revelation.
Hey, you quoted the Old Testament. I'm just saying.
Are you saying no, bro? You quoted the Old Testament. Your whole book is dedicated to showing how the Old Testament prefigured the New. So what are you trying to say when you say that the peg is going to be removed? Are you saying that the gates of hell shall prevail? Is that what you're trying to prove in what you're saying? I don't understand where you're trying to go with this. Because I believe in your heart, you believe the gates of hell will prevail. You kind of said it did. You kind of said that we're not going to have another pope. And according to the First Vatican Council, it says that we are to have perpetual successors until the end of time in Pater Eternus chapter 4. Right? But you don't believe that we're going to have perpetual successors until the end of time. You believe that the perpetual successors have run out, that apostolic succession has pretty much ceased, that we're out of popes. And it's the end of the world. Even though Jesus said, I'll be with you until the end of the world, you believe that the end of the world has come and the voice of Jesus through Peter is no longer with us. That's getting ready to come out of your own mouth here. And the gates of hell will prevail then? Is that what you're trying to argue?
No, because he's not the Pope. That's why. The Pope can't speak heresy. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I'm sorry. 10 minutes.
See, the Pope can't speak heresy. This is why we have to do a whole debate, Dominic, dedicated to defining heresy, which we're going to get into because I want to touch on this John the 22nd thing. Because I know that was a big sticking point with you.
Yeah.
The classic.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah,
private-
the 10 minutes actually is up. I'm loving this
Okay.
interaction.
right.
Bobby, it is now
All right.
your turn for your cross-examination.
Thank you, sir.
10 minutes.
I'm going to Dominic. Okay, I just started mine. So Dominic, I'm going to tell you why I started with John the 22nd. There was a reason behind why I did this, Dominic. There was a method to this madness that I'm going to let you in on right now. Said that no pope has ever taught heresy. Okay.
Right.
Are you familiar with the pontificate of Pope John the 22nd?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
I can Google it while you talk. But
Sure. Yeah, you could do that. And I won't try to So I should have been a little clear on this. Was it actual heresy that John the 22nd caught? Because he did teach the error that when somebody dies in a state of grace and not in need of purification, that they do not immediately attain to the beatific vision. He did teach that. And that was an error. Now, was it a heresy? No, because I was clear to say, and I think it kind of went over your head or went over the SETI's heads here. I said he did not say that ex cathedra. He did not say that in his magisterium. He did not say that from the chair. So you can't put that in the same category as heresy. There are different levels of error, right? I would call this one of maybe the lower levels of error. It's not the high ultimate level of heresy, but I'm going to get into why I brought this up as an example. I'll hit you blindside.
Yeah.
But the fact is, if you do some research, Pope John the 22nd, now he didn't teach this ex cathedra, which I know. See, I said that he didn't teach it ex cathedra in his capacity as the supreme pontiff of the entire universal church. This was not taught from the chair. Okay, because you cannot teach heresy from the chair. It's impossible. That's where indefectibility and infallibility come into play. I do believe in that, This is what some of, Sedevacantists like to kind of nitpick us Novus Ordos on. He actually erred in his teaching and belief regarding the beatific vision. Pope John the 22nd, when he was Pope.
I have heard that. I remember this.
Yeah.
Now. Yeah.
When he was Pope, actually erred when it came to the beatific vision. And he said that when somebody dies in a state of grace, that they do not immediately behold the beatific vision. He was later corrected by the bishops in the church. He repented of that before he died. But to make sure that heresy or that false teaching, whatever that was. See, I said heresy. Now, I shouldn't have said heresy, but I said that false teaching or whatever that was, because it's not like ironclad heresy, like from the chair, like this is wrong, because it had not been formally defined yet. It was widely believed. It was a topic that was still up for discussion. Okay. But I wanted to see a pope-splain, because Sedevacantists hate pope-splaining. That's one of their biggest things that they say against us Novus Ordo. They say that we try to spin everything that a pope says. Like I said, I call it covering our father's nakedness. That's what I said in my closing statement. But it was nice to hear you pope-splain. It was nice to hear you add nuance and context to a pope teaching error, because you cannot deny that John the 22nd taught error. It was error, even if it wasn't formally defined yet. And I need to correct myself. I said it was Benedict XIV, his successor. That's some sloppy church history. It wasn't Benedict XIV. It was Benedict XII. Okay, I was 2 Benedicts off. I got 2 Benedicts ahead of myself. So I'll own that. But it was Benedict XII that formally defined it. So now if somebody taught that, it would be heresy. But just because it wasn't heresy at the time doesn't mean that it wasn't error. He still said something that wasn't true. He still said something that was erroneous. And this is why I want to do an entire debate dedicated to the Bellarmine opinions, because you guys believe that you believe the 5th opinion of St. Robert Bellarmine, that a pope, a heretic, cannot be in office. I believe you guys believe opinion number 2, right? I believe that you guys believe in the ipso facto theory, but that deals with occult heresy. But that's a whole nother debate. There's a difference between occult heresy and notorious heresy or public heresy, or what you guys like to call manifest heresy. But that's a topic probably for an entire video in and of itself. But John the 23rd did say something that was erroneous. He did say something that was not true. And you're right. If it wasn't defined, we can't call it heresy, but he was still a pope that taught error. And it's nice to see a Sedevacantist defending a pope who taught error. That's all I'm saying, because that's what you did. Didn't take root. His successor, Pope Benedict XIV, wrote Benedictus, and again, that's where I was wrong. It was Benedict XII, but he did write Benedictus Deus that formally defined the doctrine of the beatific vision. Deus that talked about the beatific vision. Now, as a Sedevacantist, you believe in what's called ipso facto loss of office for heresy, correct?
That's a good.
This is where I fear that you painted a target on your back, Dominic, with other SETIs, because they most of them believe in that. Like Sedevacantism is built on ipso facto loss of office due to heresy. So I am surprised that you don't believe this, that you are definitely not in lockstep with your fellow Sedis on this issue.
Good question. I don't. I mean, I would say if you had to pin me down, I'd say yes, but I don't. I'm not very well versed on all that stuff.
Okay, and I appreciate you admitting that. Like that. I appreciate that. That's what I mean. You're a good guy.
But go ahead. Yeah.
So to keep it general, okay.
Yeah.
So if a pope, and you heard me say this on our previous conversation, I call it the bullet to the head theory. Like as soon as heresy leaves a pope's mouth, boom, he's dead. He's not pope. He's a heretic. So based on your Sedevacantist principle of ipso facto loss of office, John the 22nd canonized St. Thomas Aquinas. So according to you, if he taught heresy, which if you do research, you'll see that he did teach things that were not right regarding the beatific vision. Did he suddenly lose his office as pope? Did he push us into a papal interregnum during his pontificate?
Well, I'd say no, but I don't know enough about it to answer fully. I will say this, though, is that I guess I asked the question back to you. Was it a defined doctrine yet?
There you go.
As far as I know.
Pope-splain it, baby. Defend the Pope teaching error with nuance and context, like we in the Novus Ordo like to do against you guys who love attacking popes and accusing them of heresy.
You're free to
Well, yeah. Well, let's keep moving because I'll ask you a question. Okay, so let's move on from that. So the next, you're right. If it's an open topic, it's not heresy. It's still in development. It still hasn't been defined, right? Because Benedictus Deus hadn't come out yet. His successor made sure to kind of close that door. But like I said, it's nice to talk to a Sedevacantist that has a sense of nuance, that is willing to give a charitable interpretation to a pope who teaches error, and who's willing to pope-splain and defend a pope teaching error, because that's what we just witnessed here. So you exonerated John the 12th from my accusations of heresy. So good job on that, Dominic. Really good job, man. The question is, I wish more Sedis were like you. I really do. In Matthew 18:18, obviously Jesus gave binding. Now again, you talked about how our supposedly false religion falls apart. This, Dominic, is where I feel that your false Sedevacantism religion falls apart. It unraveled, man. Like it really unraveled here. To the apostles, whatever you bind on earth, bound in heaven. He also established the final court of appeal. So he said that if you have a problem with your brother, and I contend that heresy is the biggest problem you could have with your brother, or one of the biggest ones, he said that you take it to the church, and if they hear not the church, let him be as the heathen or as the tax collector. Mm-hmm. As a Sedevacantist, if we're in a prolonged papal interregnum, who is the final court of appeal in matters of dispute? Since you guys believe that, since October 9th, 1958, we haven't had a final court of appeal of an active pope.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have all the answers. Sedevacantists do. I mean, when I say we, I don't necessarily say I'm part of the we.
But see, that's the difference, Dominic, because we in the true church, pre and post Vatican II, we do have all the answers. We do. My side of this discussion has all the answers because, like I said in my previous video, we still have the living magisterium that Jesus gave us through the inspiration and guidance of the Holy Spirit. Our magisterium is from 33 AD all the way to the present day, from Peter to Francis, unbroken chain of apostolic succession, unbroken chain of popes, right? You can't say that for your false religion. You can't. Because your magisterium stopped on October 9th, 1958. That's when your court of appeal went away. You don't have a final court of appeal to settle matters of faith and morals. You don't have it. You believe we're in a papal interregnum, and you believe much worse than what other Sedis believe, because listen to what Dominic's about to say.
I do espouse the beliefs, but no, we don't have all the answers. I don't know. I mean, I guess that's one of the mysteries of the man of sin in the time of iniquity. So the great persecution of the church.
So I don't know why you're leaping to the Antichrist, to Jesus leaving us orphan, which is what you believe. You believe the popes are done, man. Pius XII was the last one, and there were no more to come after him. So I don't know why you're leaping to the Antichrist from, essentially, it seems to me that Jesus fell short on his promise of not leaving us orphan and the gates of hell prevailing. That's how it seems to me with what you believe. Because according to the fourth chapter of the First Vatican Council, I should have pulled it up here. I could pull it up later, but it says that the chair of Peter is to have perpetual successors until the end of time. The word perpetual means nonstop. It means never ending. right? Do you believe in the perpetual virginity of Mary? Right? Do you believe that her virginity, that she was a virgin before, during, and after the birth of Jesus Christ? Because that's what all Catholics believe, right? So, in the same way, just like the virginity of Mary is ever virgin, that's why we call her that. And I ask Mary, ever virgin, and all the angels of saints to pray for you and me and my brothers and sisters, right? So we believe that her virginity is ever perpetual. She is ever virgin. The See of Peter is ever perpetual too. Yes, there's going to be some short vacancies when a pope dies, but that's part of that perpetual charism, is that vacancy is not going to last for 70 years. There's going to come a point when that promise degenerates into being broken. After a certain amount of time, it's no longer perpetual.
The shepherd, strike the shepherd and scatter the sheep. There's a prophecy of the wicked shepherd in Zacharias. So
let me stop with, let's see what Jeremy has to say here. Even if he officially taught the entire church his opinion, it still wouldn't be a loss of office ipso facto, because it wouldn't have been a heresy, because the dogma hadn't been defined yet. Great way to pope-splain, Jeremy. Yes. Look at this Sedevacantist pope-splaining. I love it, dude. I love it. Dominic, I think you're starting a revolution with your Sadies, man, because you guys hate pope-splainers, or you hate it when people pope-splain. Let me lower the harshness a little bit. You guys hate it when people pope-splain. But because you pope-splain on John the 22nd, you're inspiring your fellow Sedis to pope-splain. Let's listen to John the 22nd. Didn't teach error to the entire church. He privately held his opinion. There's a vast difference. See, this is the kind of nuance that us in the Novus Ordo Church have towards people like Pope Francis, like John Paul II, like Benedict XVI, John the 23rd. All these popes that you guys feel teach error and heresy, if they say or do things that can be perceived against the Catholic faith, right? We like to pope-splain it the way Jeremy's pope-splaining Pope John the 22nd, the way you pope-splained John the 22nd. So it's pretty cool to see Seti's pope-splain. Again, he didn't officially promulgate an erroneous opinion. Keep that pope-splaining coming, my brother. Keep it coming. Absolutely, Jeremy. I'm glad to call you out, man. In a nice way. Like, you seem like a cool guy. I appreciate your comments. And if you see Chad or Christina today, tell them I said hi. Or Dominic, because I think you guys all go to the same church. So great job on your pope-splaining. Let it be known that Bobby Hesley was able to get some ultra-traditionalist Sedevacantists to pope-splain. Let it be known. Let it be known.
That's part of the quagmire. Yeah.
But as a Sedevacantist, you believe that a wicked shepherd automatically loses his office, right? So hypothetically, if John the 22nd erred when it came to the beatific vision, just to bring that example back, why do you guys not go further past 1958? Why doesn't Sedevacantism start in, I think it was 1314 when he was alive? And also, do you accept the canonization of Thomas Aquinas, since it was done by a heretical pope, according to what you guys would say?
Well, no, he's not a heretical pope. I mean, I don't know much about it, but was the beatific vision defined yet?
Now, this is where Dominic felt their dirty trick was.
Did you know?
It was still in development at that time. But let me ask you this, since we're thinking of things that weren't defined.
So why did you offer that to me before? Like, because it seems a little tricky that you do that.
Well, it's not necessarily. I mean, it was in development at the time. It was accepted universally. Just a pope taught error. The fact is, Dominic, even though it wasn't formally defined yet, it was still an erroneous opinion that he taught, that he did not keep to himself. You guys keep saying that he had it as a private theologian. It wasn't as a private theologian. He said it in homilies. If it was private, why did his successor feel the need to where one of his first acts was to write Benedictus Deus, Benedict XII? So this idea that he kept it to himself and kept all these things in our heart like the Blessed Mother did in Luke 2:52. No, that's not what happened. He was public with his error. He just wasn't public to the degree, which I said this. If you go back and watch the video, I was very clear to say that he did not teach this ex cathedra. He did not teach this from the chair of Peter. If you guys go back and watch it, you'll see that I said that. But he still taught error. But that doesn't mean that he ipso facto lost his office with the bullet to the head theory. That's what I was trying to get you guys to see. And what's interesting is that there's lots of Sedevacantists there's some Sedevacantists that think that, thank you, Thomas. I appreciate that, brother. There's call-outs that go both ways. Bobby Hesley, you're a brilliant and compassionate warrior for Christ and his church. I appreciate that, man. I really do. My man, Patrick, has anyone heard that old quote, wisdom for deaf ears, because it is so hard to change minds? Tell me about it, brother. It doesn't matter how much facts, historical evidence, eyewitness testimony, mountains of correction still won't be enough for someone that listens but is unwilling to hear, man. Bars, like mic drop. Hence the quote, wisdom for deaf ears. Yeah, but here's the beauty though, Pat. This is why I take the time to do these, is in a way, and Dominic kind of said this yesterday in his closing statement. He said, I'm kind of talking past Bobby right now, which I appreciate it when he said that. Some of this is not so much for Dominic or for Jeremy or some of the other SETIs that are trying to weigh in here. It's for other Sedevacantists. It's for people that are thinking about falling into this erroneous nihilistic existence that would be miserable to live. So I'm hoping that this debate and that these follow-up commentaries, and please God, future debates that I could have with Dominic and Jeremy, I did ask you on my channel, if you would like to debate. Like, would you like to discuss these issues that you're challenging me about? So you look like you just posted a quote, on the Pontiff by Bellarmine addressed all the supposed claims that Pope have taught heresy, including John the 22nd. So Jeremy, would you like to, and we don't have to do it now, I know we're all busy, but are you open to having a discussion like I had with Dominic? Let's have a debate specifically about what constitutes heresy. Let's talk about that. We need to have a whole debate dedicated to that. But I'm taking time to do this. One, because I just love doing it. Amen. God's will be done, my brother. One, because I love doing it. But two, I do hope that this falls on ears. I hope that there are Sedevacantist priests that are watching this when they hear how their ordination clearly goes against the clear, infallible decrees of their supposedly beloved Pope Pius XII, who said that after the death of a pope, which puts the church in what's called a period of interregnum, meaning we have the seat is vacant, right? That there are supposed to be no priestly ordinations or episcopal consecrations during a papal interregnum. Well, Sedevacantists believe we've been in one of those since 1958. So I hope there's SETI priests that are watching this. I wish this could have got to Chikata before he passed away 4 years ago. I know I'm probably thinking too highly of maybe some of this content, but I wish that people that are thinking about becoming Sedevacantist priests, I hope they have identity crises over these videos. I really do. Because they should not be priests. Or if you're going to be a priest, you should be a priest as part of the true church. And what's interesting is any power that they get from their priesthood comes from these popes. It comes from the Vatican II Novus Ordo Church. Even if your priesthood is illicit, even if your episcopal consecration as a bishop is illicit, it might be valid, but if it's illicit, the fact that it's able to even be valid is because we're actually not in an interregnum. Because Pius XII said that he declares everything that's done during the interregnum null and void. He did say that. So I know you guys like to do conditional marriages and conditional baptisms. You might want to consider doing a conditional ordination or a conditional episcopal consecration, because Pius XII said that your guys' stuff is valid. So let's see here. Let's keep going. It's like, let me give you this example.
Sure.
Would you believe that I'm a heretic if I denied the Immaculate Conception?
It's a defined doctrine. So if you denied it.
So I've heard this, Jeremy. Let me pause it. Did you know that Archbishop Tuke had written approval to consecrate bishops without papal approval? Now, let me ask you this, Jeremy, since you're bringing up Archbishop Tuke. Did you know that Archbishop Tuke was one of the signatories, that he signed off on all the documents of Vatican II that you guys deem heretical? Did you know that he did sign off on those? So according to your ipso facto that heretics can't be bishops and popes, and heretics can't be popes, let me actually pull up a document real quick, Jeremy. Let me go on a quick rabbit hole here. Now this is from my good friend, Dr. Robert Fastigi. I know a lot of Sedevacantists. I know a lot of you guys love to talk about Denzinger. In fact, some people call you guys Denzinger thumpers. Dr. Robert Fastigi actually wrote one of the updated versions of Denzinger, but he sent me an interesting document a few weeks ago, and it's called Against the Tukites. Are you seeing this, Jeremy? Are you seeing this? If you want, friend me on Facebook, Jeremy, because you can friend me. You really can. Shoot me a friend. I'm friends with Dominic. Let me see. I hope I'm still friends with Dominic. on Facebook. I'm sure I am. Okay, good. Yeah, I'm still friends with Dominic. Jeremy, shoot me a friend request on Facebook, okay? And shoot me a private message and shoot me your email address. I'd like to send you this thing that was written against the Tukites. And you know what their whole reasoning is, Jeremy? I'm really glad you weighed in. See, we can have conversations, man. We can really have conversations. This is a pretty thorough document, a pretty thorough apologetic against any bishops that come from the line of Tuk, because Tuk, they believe, was a heretic that lost his office ipso facto, because I don't know if you remember the history of Vatican II, but he did sign off and he did contribute to the doctrines and the teachings of Vatican II. And that's what this entire document is dedicated to. So I know you guys pride yourself on the Tuk bishops that founded the CMRI and things like that, but please send me your please private message me your email address, and I would like to send this to you. And I'd like, maybe this can get you to reconsider your position on Tuk, or maybe, like I said, maybe you and I can have a debate on the Tuk bishops. There's so many aspects of this stuff that we can talk about, guys. There really are. So hold that thought, Jeremy. I appreciate your contribution, man. Please shoot me a friend request, and I will accept it. So let me not get too off track here. Let's keep going.
Explicitly, I don't think you do, but
no, I don't.
I mean, so to talk about people in the Novus Ordo, I don't think that they're necessarily heretics per se. I mean, I have a lot of sympathy and love and compassion and even like hope, and so I don't throw the word heresy at Novus Ordo so quickly.
Well, that is rare. You're again, not only do I appreciate that about you, Dominic, and I commend you for it, but you are out of step with your Sadies, man. Like Sedevacantist, I want you to hear what Dominic just said. Novus Ordo Catholics, plug your ears. Everybody except Sedevacantist, plug your ears, okay? I want you Sedis to listen to what Dominic just said and tell me if you agree with what Dominic said here.
I mean, I have a lot of sympathy. Talk about people at it explicitly. I don't think you do, but
no, I don't.
I mean, so to talk about people in the Novus Ordo, I don't think that they're necessarily heretics per se. I mean, I have a
Dominic doesn't think that those of us in the Novus Ordo are heretics, guys. Fellow Sedevacantist, do you agree with what he said? Do you agree?
A lot of sympathy and love and compassion and even like hope, and so I don't throw the word heresy at Novus Ordos.
What Dominic just said is the majority position of all Sedis that I know. And see, that's the challenge, Jeremy, is that we're prisoners of what I call prisoners of our sample sizes, right? I only have a limited sample size of Sedevacantists that I've dealt with, which have been pretty vitriolic. I've not had a good experience with Sedevacantists. And I'll say that the experience I've had with Dominic is the best one I've had with Sedevacantists. I'm not blowing smoke when I say that. So I have a very small sample size of Sedevacantists. The majority that I've come across, that I've seen, that I've dealt with, are very hateful, very prideful, very condescending, very know-it-all, very vitriolic people. Okay, I don't get that sense from Dominic, and to be honest, Jeremy, I don't get that sense from you either. So please send me that friend request, man. I appreciate what you're having to say. I appreciate the contributions that you're bringing to this discussion. I really do.
So quickly.
Well, that is rare. You're definitely more of a rare set of contest if you don't do that, because most of you guys do. So just like I'm sure, Jeremy, that most of the experience you've probably had with Novus Ordo people probably wouldn't be an experience like you'd have with me. Like I'd be willing to put money, Jeremy, that you and me could probably talk till 3 a.m. about theology and feel like only 5 minutes pass by. I get a sense that you and me could do that. How many other Novus Ordo people can you say that about? And I'm talking about my side now, and I'm not trying to say I'm better than everybody else, but let's see what you got to say here. We all have many friends and relatives who only go to Novus Ordo, and we can't say they're in heresy because they don't openly deny Catholic dogmas. Again, you're expanding my sample size of Sedevacantists, Jeremy. I appreciate you saying this, man, because most of the Sedis I've encountered believe that we're that we're just lost heretics. You guys don't pray with us. You think that's useless to do because you think we're heretics and you shouldn't pray with heretics, right? So you're kind of expanding my sample size. I appreciate that, man. This is why I like doing this stuff publicly. because it opens up these conversations that couldn't be had if everything was just kept to like, private text threads or whatever. St. Thomas Aquinas, for example, he denied the Immaculate Conception even in the Summa, right? So and he was wrong for doing that, right? So it wasn't defined yet. You're right. Defined yet, but you guys say that heresy is something that has to be, that it's a post-baptismal denial of something that has to be believed with divine and Catholic faith, right?
Yeah, it's the catechism. Yeah.
Right. Now, this was another thing that confused me, Dominic, because you also gave me this definition on our private Zoom call that we did last week to prep the debate. And when you define heresy, you said that heresy is the post-baptismal denial of a dogma that has to be believed with divine and Catholic faith. You do know that comes like from the 92 Catechism. Like that's 1983, 1992 Code of Canon Law speak that you guys don't reference. You guys don't reference that stuff. Your guys' Code of Canon Law stopped back in 1917, man. So I don't know. It's strange that you're quoting from heretical modernistic texts to define heresy. I find that very ironic that you are defining heresy from what you would deem heretical documents, which is the 1992 Catechism. I mean, 1992, that's almost a half a century after 1958. So that was another thing you said that kind of confused me too. Well, that's the 92 Catechism, right? Which you guys wouldn't accept. But see, Linda, you see that, Linda? I have many friends in Novus Ordo and TLM, and I absolutely hate it when SETIs say that no sacraments are valid. Exactly, Linda. That's been the only experience I've had so far. Like that none of the Novus Ordo sacraments are valid. That none of them. Not even a baptism. Even though an atheist could baptize another atheist and it would be a valid baptism as long as they absorb the proper form, which you also agreed with in our call last week, Dominic. That gets my goat too when people say that, Linda. And maybe you have a small sample size of SETIs you've dealt with too. Maybe you've only dealt with the prideful, hateful, vitriolic ones, kind of like I have, that just paint these broad brushstrokes of heresy and all this other stuff. I guess my question is, what is your guys' plan? Okay, like if we're in a papal interregnum, and if all the College of Cardinals died, like Pius XII said, ordinations and consecrations are not to take place during a papal interregnum. And again, Dominic, this is where you fall apart, brother. This is where not only that you fall apart, but this is where the false Sedevacantist religion just falls apart, man. So according to your guys' ecclesiology, how could we ever have another pope? Let me go back. I don't want you guys I don't want you guys to miss me setting up this question. Hold on. I guess my question is, what is your guys' plan? Okay, like if we're in a papal interregnum, and if all the College of Cardinals died, like Pius XII said, ordinations and consecrations are not to take place during a papal interregnum. So according to your guys' ecclesiology, how could we ever have another pope?
I personally think we won't. I think it's the end of the world.
Dominic, you don't think we're going to have another pope ever? Like that is a clear denial of Vatican I, man. It's a clear denial. It's just a clear denial. Let me pull up you're spouting the old Catholics heresy. Like they rejected Vatican I for this reason. Let me go to the should have been more prepared, but it is what it is. Okay, let's take a look. First Vatican Council, let me blow it up. It says, therefore, if anyone says it is not by the institution of Christ, the Lord himself, that is to say, by divine law. So we're talking about divine law here, Dominic. That Blessed Peter should have perpetual successors in the primacy over the whole church, or that the Roman pontiff is not the successor of Blessed Peter in this primacy, let him be anathema. So what you just said here, Dominic, clearly goes against Vatican I. And we ain't talking Vatican II. Like, we're not talking about the Kumbaya Ecumenical Council that you guys think is like the worst thing since Satan. Like, we're not talking about that, man. We're talking about Vatican I, 100 years prior. Let's go back to what you said and let's match it up against an ecumenical council that you, as a Sedevacantist, should accept. So it wasn't defined yet, but you guys say that heresy is something that has
office of the papacy. The office is still there. It's a mystery. I think that.
So do you deny that article of Vatican I, like success? Well, Vatican I established. Okay. Hold on. Now, do you feel that that fits the definition? Okay. How could we ever have another pope?
I personally think we won't. I think it's the end of the world.
You personally think we won't, but what does Vatican I think? Vatican I doesn't think. Vatican I says, therefore, if anyone says that it is not by the institution of Christ, the Lord himself, that is to say by divine law, that Blessed Peter should have perpetual successors. Perpetual means never ending. In the primacy over the whole church, or that the Roman pontiff is not the successor of Blessed Peter, which you guys say about John the 23rd through Francis, let him be anathema. So you're rejecting Vatican I here, brother. Okay. You are rejecting a dogma of the church that has to be believed with divine and Catholic faith. Isn't that heresy? Are you committing, and I'm asking you, are you committing a post-baptismal denial of a dogma that was revealed that has to be believed with divine and Catholic faith? Are you rejecting the teaching of Vatican I about the perpetual primacy of the bishops of Rome? Now, do you feel that that fits the definition of the church that Christ established? That the faith of go ahead.
Go ahead. No, please. Yeah.
Well, Vatican I says that we would have perpetual successors, that the office of Peter would have perpetual successors. You just said that you believe that that ended. So do you deny that article of Vatican I like the old Catholics did?
No, I think that, the office of the papacy, the office is still there. It's a mystery. I agree with you. It's a very hard thing. To say that an interregnum of 60, 50 years, whatever.
It's 66 years. 1958 to the present. That's 66 years, man. 58, yeah. Okay. That doesn't sound very perpetual to me. It just doesn't. I could see 3 years with the example you use in the 1200s, which is kind of long, but 70 years, 66 years, man. That's not perpetual, dude.
Yeah, whatever. It's a long time, right? So to say that the interregnum constitutes having no pope anymore, it's just a matter of sliding the scale back. I think the longest interregnum before that was, I think, 3 or 4 years. I can't remember.
Well, real quick, let me stop you. But that's what you guys say is an interregnum. If the sede is vacant, right, which is what your guys' namesake is, that means we have no pope. So when you say that the office is in existence, what is the key thing of the papal office that differs us from the Protestants? It's visibility, correct?
When there is a pope, yes. Yeah, the fact that we see the pope, yeah.
So my next question to you, Dominic, isn't the visibility of the chair? See, there's properties of the papal office that are always there that Christ gave us, whether we have a pope or not. It's still inherently built in. Like Aquinas would say, you would have the habit but not the act, right? But you're saying that there's no pope. Peter, one of the key aspects of that office that Christ established.
Yes, except during interregnums.
Okay. But you believe that we're in a permanent interregnum. You just said that you don't believe we'll have another pope. So
I don't, but we very easily could as well. I personally.
So first you say you don't, now you're saying we could.
Based on my book and everything else, I've come to conclude. I personally think most Sedevacantists don't share my opinion, right? So about us being at the end of the world, and I think
Sedevacantists that are watching, do you agree with what Dominic just said? Do you not share his opinion that we're at the end of the world? What do you guys think? What do you think? Because let's see. This is a good question. Take a little break here. If the if the SSPX is a halfway house between the diocese and Sedevacantism, what does that make the FSSP? So let me start. Yeah. So some of these words were thrown around. SSPX stands for Society of St. Pius X. It's a schismatic organization that was founded by a bishop in 1988 named Marcel Lefebvre, and he illicitly consecrated 4 bishops against the orders of Pope St. John Paul II. He was excommunicated as a result of that. But then there were others, people in the SSPX that wanted union with Rome, so they kind of broke away from SSPX and they reconciled with the church, and they're called the Fraternity of St. Peter. So, and Pope Francis just recently met with them and gave them blessings and approvals. And so FSSP, you can find elements of SSPX type thinking and even gateway drug type thinking that you find in the SSPX, like the Sedevacantism gateway drug. But I would say that the FSSP would be a safer option than SSPX because they're not schismatic. I mean, they're not, they're willing to work with the church.
Some of them, to kind of try to answer your question here fairly.
Yeah.
I do think that many Sedevacantists are looking forward to having another conclave. But one of the things we're stuck about is our definition.
Okay, you're stuck about a definition
Of what happened at Vatican II and how to make sense.
See that, Dominic? Like, this is why we need perpetual successors, so you guys can be unstuck about stuff like this. That's important. Don't you think Jesus wanted us to have a final court of appeal that can sort out differences that we have with each other, like you guys are having? But you guys don't have that. You guys don't have that. And you're also saying that you hope that there's some Sedevacantist bishops that would have another conclave. You're talking about conclavism. That's another wing of Sedevacantism, where Sedevacantists actually have conclaves. Like, they actually really think that they're like electing popes. They're called conclavists, right? I hate to use Wikipedia, but it's like, it's just there. It's just low hanging, fruit, but it's pretty accurate in its description there. Conclavists are basically Sedevacantists. Is the practice that has existed since the second half of the 20th century, which consists in the convening of a conclave to elect rival popes, anti-popes, to the current Pope of Rome, which obviously Sedevacantists deny. This method is used by some Catholics, often Sedevacantists, who do not accept the legitimacy of their present papacy. Those who hold the position that a conclave can be convened to elect a pope to rival the current pope are called conclavists. So conclavists are actually Sedevacantists who say, you know what, we need to end this interregnum and we're going to elect our own pope. So a couple examples is Pope Michael I. His name is David Allen. He lived in Kansas City. He's passed away, but he was elected by his parents. See, I'm just, you can't make this stuff up, guys. In 1990, 6 people, which included Bowden's parents. Now, Bowden was a hardcore Sedevacantist. He believed all the things that all the Sedis that are watching the stream believe, right? He didn't like Vatican II. He thought the popes were imposters, ipso facto loss of office for heresy. He believed all that stuff you guys believe, right? He loved the Latin Mass over the Novus Ordo. They elected Bowden, who took the name Pope Michael. He died on August 22nd. He was succeeded by Regilio Martinez, who took the name Michael II. Pope Linus II, after a conclave. He was an ex-seminarian of SSPX. Pope Pius XIII, from the True Catholic Church. Pope Leo XIV. So this is called conclavism. This is another species of Sedevacantism, another splinter group of Sedevacantism, which again makes it very similar to Protestantism. So that's kind of what you mentioned in passing, Dominic. And here's the problem with conclavism, Sedevacantism, is that let's say you guys got together, your bishops, McGuire and Sanborn and Pivarunis and all your guys' bishops, right? Let's say they all decided to get together at St. Gertrude the Great Parish and have a conclave at St. Gertrude, right? And they elect a pope. Well, what if one of your bishops, what if that pope is thought to have taught error? What if you guys elect somebody at St. Gertrude, all your bishops converge, they do a little like mini conclave, they all get together at SGG, and they elect a pope, like they end the interregnum, right? Well, what if that elected pope teaches something later down the road that you guys don't like? Is he going to ipso facto lose his office? What if you guys discover something in his past? Like, what if you discover a term paper that he wrote in seminary that contained error, and now he's kind of like a John the 23rd, suspected of modernism kind of a thing, and heretics can't become popes? That's what would happen. And in fact, that's not what would happen. That's what has happened with conclavism. And if you want to see a list of Sedevacantist popes, I mean, let me hold on. Let me get that for you. Jesus intended us to have a much simpler church than this, guys. Like much, much simpler. He did. Let Let me find this list here. So we'll keep playing while I'm
They
talking.
could as well. I mean, I personally, based on my book and everything else, I've come to conclude. I personally think most Sedevacantists don't share my opinion. Right. So
Okay.
about us being at the end of the world, and I think some of them, to kind of try to answer your question here fairly.
Yeah.
I do think that many Sedevacantists are looking forward to having another conclave. But one of the things we're stuck about is our definition of what happened at Vatican II and how to make sense of it.
Okay.
So
Sure.
most Sedevacantist bishops are reluctant to, in fact, all of them are reluctant to have a conclave, which I would, I guess, agree with, because it would be.
Yeah. And I think that definitely denies a key aspect. Okay. So here's my next. So why are they reluctant to have a conclave though? Like if you guys have bishops, like I said, get McGuire, get Sanborn, get Pivarunas together at St. Gertrude and the interregnum. Like, how come you guys don't do that? That is a question I have for you guys. Like, why don't you do that? That's what I would do. If I was a SETI bishop, that's what I would do. I'd want to call a conclave and put it into the 70-year hell you guys been living in since Pius XII died. That's what I would do, man. So here's what your vision would look like, Dominic, if like people have done what you suggested. So here's the Sedevacantist popes. Gregory the 17th claimed papacy in 1978 after alleging mystical visions. He led the Palmarian Catholic Church, a Sedevacantist group in Spain. Pope Gregory the 18th succeeded Gregory the 17th as the head of Palmarian Catholic Church, but later resigned and left the church. Pope Michael, who I just talked about, elected in 1990 by his parents up in the attic. In fact, you can, if you want to see a picture of what a Sedevacantist pope looks like, you can even see like his little computer in the background, in his papal picture. Let me look here. See, here's Pope Michael. Like the news interviewed him, like he's sitting on his front porch, dressed like the Pope. You could see him up in his attic. Like, you know, look at him kiss that ring, man. Kiss that brass, boy. I'm the Pope. So Sedevacantists do elect popes. Now, I'm going to go out on a limb, Dominic or Jeremy or any other SETIs that are watching this. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that you guys do not accept the papacy or the pontificate of Pope Michael, correct? I'd like you guys to answer that question real quick. Jeremy, are you still watching? Can you say that? Like, okay, Victor, you're saying Pope Michael was against SETIs, but he was a SETI himself. He was a SETI versus a SETI. That's what I'm talking about. That division you guys have, that hellish division. It is inappropriate. You notice how I'm not hiding your guys' comments, by the way. I welcome disagreement, by the way, guys. I don't just post the comments that praise me. I post comments that challenge me. It is inappropriate to call these fake popes Sedevacantists. They were against Sedevacantists. No, they weren't, Victor. They were Sedevacantists themselves. They just weren't your version of Sedevacantism. That's the difference. That's the key. Wow, Michael Jackson was a pope, huh? Just kidding. You gotta love the internet is undefeated, man. There's your Pope Michael. You know. And I wasn't being mean when I was talking about Pope Michael in his attic. There really is a picture you can find of him in his attic, and like you could see like his computer behind him. Like, it just was not a very professional looking like Pope picture. But all these guys are Sedevacantists, Victor. I don't understand what you're talking about. They all claim the title of Sedevacantist. They all believe that the chair was vacant. Otherwise, why are they electing themselves as popes? Why would you elect yourself as pope? Why would you get your parents to make you pope? Oh, here it is. Why would you get your parents to make you pope up in your attic in front of your computer if you believe that the chair of Peter is not vacant? It makes no sense. He believed in his heart of hearts that the chair was vacant, that the sedi, which is Latin for chair, right? What do we call people that sit in chairs all day? Sedentary, sedi, right? He believed that the sedi was vacant. He was a Sedevacantist. That's why he made himself pope up in his mom's attic. That's why all these guys made themselves pope. They were all freaking SETIs, man. Otherwise, it makes no sense for them to do what they're doing. Are they LARPing? You guys know what a LARP is? Live action role playing? Are they cosplaying like people do when they go to Comic-Con? You know how they do like those Renaissance festivals and you dress up like in Renaissance times or like medieval times, you like dress up or you like dress up like Vikings, or like you go to Comic Con, like you go to the Marvel Comic Con and you dress up like Iron Man. Is that what these guys are doing? Are they LARPing? Or do they really believe that the chair is vacant and they need to do something about it and elect themselves Pope? Pope Linus II claimed the papacy in the late 90s. Now, Pope Michael was still reigning from Kansas City during this time. So now, not only do you have SETI popes, but now you got SETI anti-popes. You see how Protestant this starts to get? You got this one guy in Kansas up in his attic in front of his computer in the year 1990. Then you got Pope Linus in the 90s during the reign of Pope Michael, because you guys like to put Pope in quotes when you talk about our quotes. Well, I'll do that about your popes too, your Sedevacantist popes. He claimed the papacy in the late 90s, leading a small group known as the True Catholic Church. Pius XIII, elected in 1998 by the True Catholic Church, a Sedevacantist group not related to the one led by Victor Pence. So you got this pope beeping with that pope. There's some anti-popery going on. You got Leo XIV, claimed to be the true pope, succeeding his brother, Paul Vermacher. You got Peter III, succeeded Gregory XVIII as the head of the Palmarian Catholic Church. Just like you believe what you're doing, Victor. Just like you believe what you're doing. You said they believe what they were doing. How does that make them different from you? You believe what you're doing. You don't believe we have a pope, right? Do you believe we have a pope, Victor? Because you're living your life as if we don't have one. You believe what you're doing. So all I'm saying is to Brother Dominic's point here, that you guys have elected popes before instead of Sedevacantism. You just don't accept them because you have no final court of appeal. This is the problem you get into when you're dealing with Sedevacantism. That's the issue. Next question. Sure. So in Sacramentum Ordinance, Pius XII said, quote, if it was at, you know what I'm going to do? That's probably enough for one video. I'm going to save the Pius XII piece for a whole separate video. I'll probably do it, one day this week. But that is another part of the debate I want to focus on. It's just the disdain that you Sedevacantists have for the wishes of your supposedly final beloved Pope Pius XII, who said there are to be no ordinations or episcopal consecrations during a papal interregnum, which you guys believe you've been in one since 1958. So I'll do a whole separate video on that. But guys, please like and subscribe. Please share. I got to get better at telling people to share this stuff, for those who dare to share. So I appreciate everybody coming out. There's lots of other ways you could spend this beautiful Sunday that we're having. So stay tuned in. Again, I'm just giving commentary on the debate I had with Dominic, and I really enjoyed it. I hope he did too. And I'll be doing a couple more analysis videos like this moving forward with some points that we weren't able to cover. So again, Jeremy, if you're still watching, please friend me. Please private message me your email address, and I will send you this paper that refutes the Tuck bishops based on the fact that Archbishop Tuck taught Vatican II heresy, therefore losing his office. Therefore, there is no Tuck line, according to you guys. He ipso facto lost his office because you guys believe that heretics can't be bishops, right? Or that if a bishop commits heresy, which you guys say Vatican II is, that bullet to the head, ipso facto loss of office happens. So you might want to reconsider your Tuck bishops. And I'll send you that paper, okay? So take care, everybody. God bless, and I will catch you on the next one. Take care.